Hey guys, what's up? Time for another game theory, nerdy video, whatever. Remember, if you like these videos, like, sub, silly, comment, share, whatever, if you want to support the channel. And of course, whatever, context is king here, so when I talk about these changes, you have to go with the context of how I said I would change this game, whatever. So, again, I guess there's a new patch coming out in about a month, and a character that I've been asked to do before that I actually have never done before is actually Ultra Instinct Goku. I feel like a lot of these videos, I've done 2 or 3 of them since the game is going to be, what, almost 4 years old now or something. But I've actually never done Ultra Instinct Goku. So let's talk about how would I change this motherfucker? And you know what? I know a lot of people complain about this character and he's received nerfs throughout the patches, that he's too good or one of the best characters in the game. But I've always said that when you think about a narrative of a video game, the lesser of two evils is often the character being good if they show off the game system, right? So, again, lesser of two evils, even if Ultra Instinct Goku is a good character, as long as if what he's doing is showing off the narrative of what this game can be, that's good. So when you have shit like this, when you have shit, again, and we'll use Vegito because he's just such a serendipitously good character to show for this shit, right? You know, and of course for Vegito, I would say that I would make shit like this more real, right? You know what I mean? I would tighten it up. But when you have characters like this, oh, well, fuck, I don't care. I don't care. Oh, just right, he doesn't care. He has so much shit that can just like null and void. But, you know what I mean? That's cool, but these kind of aspects are only in Dragon Ball FighterZ, right? And if you have a character that is so, you know, maybe a quintessential going through fire, whatever you want to call it, such a great character of going through this kind of zoning, whatever it might be, showing off a new perspective of what fighting games can be, that's not bad. Having a character like this be a good character in your game, again, context is king, fleshing the game out more, making it more fundamentally sound, whatever, that's not a bad thing. You know, that's why when I talk about a game like Karna's Revenge, you know, Karna's Revenge failed as a game, not because it is a quotation mark Street Fighter clone, but because it didn't have a good narrative to show you off. And you know that's true because even as much people as talk shit about Karna's Revenge, and I know I'm going off rambling before I get to this character, but even as much people that talk shit about Karna's Revenge, Fighter's history as being a clone of Street Fighter, people still talk about Karnov to this day. Why do they talk about Karnov? Because the narrative of the character is so amazing. You can look at that character and they're like, oh, there's memes of balloon, because there's no one else like that in any other fighting games. The character is great. Even if you look at the character nowadays, he's still a cool and interesting character. But Karna's Revenge failed as a game because there weren't more interesting characters in the limelight of the game. Like I said, serendipitously enough, Mizuguchi is also a amazing fucking character in that game. But you got to remember, who was doing the kind of shit before I was doing the shit when the Japanese were telling me I was the best in the world at that game, when I was beating everybody, people were not playing Mizuguchi to that level. That was considered combo video shit and not real shit you could do in real matches, right? And then, you know, along came me and I was destroying people in the game, but you know, but generally speaking, the narrative of the game competitively, the only competitively interesting character narrative-wise was Karnov. That's why it was a failed game. So that's a long tangent, but what I'm getting at is, again, the lesser of two evils. If there's going to be a good character, which of course there's going to be good characters, you would want it to be a character that shows off a different perspective of your game that you cannot get in another fighting game. And that's how you sell something to a consumer. And that's why a game like Karna's Revenge is actually a great example of that, right? But anyway, so what should I do for this motherfucker here with that long 5-minute, whatever it was, you know, insight into this game? So what would I do for this character? So of course, you know what? I think he'd actually be pretty easy. He already has a pretty good idea of what I would do to make better, right? So of course, let's look at something here. You know, we have these flippy shit. He can go 1, 2, 3. He has like 3 versions of it, or he can go up to 3 times, right? Well, we also know he has this kamehameha, right? And this is minus 18, but if you're to do 1 flip into it, then it gets better, right? And he even has, unfortunately, You know, he has these kind of combos as well that you can then link off of it. I would make that more realistic. Of course, I would tighten up the stuff he does frame data wise. Get rid of this bullshit that is not, you know, frame one invincible. That kind of shit is stupid, I think. You know what I mean? His auto combo, you should be able to lay that into a combo. So, you know, there's fundamental changes there that are for everybody. You know what I mean? Don't get rid of this your turn, my turn shit. You know what I mean? If the move's a DP, it's supposed to be a DP, okay? But what I wanted to get at, and of course, you know, make the kamehameha combos better, but of course I said there would be more realistic block damage in this game. So let's play off a little bit of what we have with this character already. Kamehameha is normally like that, but if you were to flip into it once, it gets a little bit better, you know, frame data. It gets better attributes, let's call it. Well, I would do that for everything with him, right? So say he does this flip here. Well, if he charges the flip one time, if he charges the flip one time, then goes into it, then it gets a little better. If you were to do 2 flips into it, then it gets a little better. So each special move, you could say, could have, you know, 3 different versions of it that get a little bit better each time. So say the grab, you know what I mean? I think it does 1200, am I correct, or is it 1300? I don't play the character, so 1200, I was correct, look at me. So maybe if he flips once and he goes into it a second time, accidentally flip 3 times, it does 1300, right? If we were to flip into it and he does it 3 times, then it's going to do 1400, right? Each move gets a little bit better. The punch, you know what I mean? If you keep flipping into it, the frame data goes up a step. It goes up a step. It goes up a little bit more block damage, right? Just like his kamehameha. Not only is it getting better frame advantage, it's doing more block damage. And that's why, you know, when I talk about adding block damage to the game, and I've made so many videos about how it would make this game better, let's look at a character like this, right? We could say the Goku right here, we could say this does shitty block damage like this. That does, normally when you play this character, that's how much it does. And you know, I threw out this arbitrary number that you could probably make every move in this game do triple the block damage of what it does. You know, maybe some moves don't do triple, maybe some moves do more than triple, right, if it's a super, but kind of an arbitrary number. You could probably have moves do 3 times the block damage, actually. You know, but say Goku, you know, maybe when he does this, maybe it only does that much. But when he does it into another flip, boom, boom, oh, then it does twice as much block damage. Oh, he does 3 flips into it. Oh, now it actually does 3 times as much block damage. This normally shitty block damage, but if he keeps flipping into it, not only does it do more block stun, whatever, oh, you know what I mean? Oh, now it actually does good block damage. It's actually a threat to keep blocking it. And something else I would do, because I've talked about when you make a tag team game, obviously, I actually don't really care about tag team games, to be honest with you. It just so happens that I do a ton of shit in them, I guess. But, you know, a tag team game, you're supposed to have that synergistic effect. The characters should be interesting on their own. The characters should be standalone interesting, right? And then once they're so interesting standalone-wise, then comes the synergy, right? So a character like Goku, I do think that when you think about this character competitively, if it were just him solo, I think there's also that idea that, well, if he just keeps flipping around like this, you can kind of just jump out of it, right? You know, take that with a grain of salt, right? I mean, it's sort of slow, he's invincible, but, you know, I think that's kind of an accepted thing that, you know, it's kind of hard to force the opponent just to stay there if you were solo specifically, right? You know what I mean? So the mix-up is kind of slightly suspect, maybe you could call it, you know, just doing this like, well, what's to stop you from jumping? So what I would do for that is I would change this move a little bit right here, right? I would say this move, okay, you know, each move has 3 different versions, so if he's flipped a couple of times, boom, it does a little bit more damage. But if he's flipped 3 times and then goes into it, I would try to finagle this move that whatever the hitbox is, whatever, maybe when you flip 3 times, and I'm pointing at the screen right now, but you can't see, maybe it gets an extra hitbox above him a little bit, and it actually acts as a grab. It has like a little small grab hitbox, so that if the opponent is trying to jump, it has a little bit of a unblockable thing. And that's not necessarily unheard of, right? Because I mean, if I were just to do here, obviously that can't grab the guy, right? But if we were to jump just a little bit, it would have grabbed him. So finagle in, keep the regular hitbox right there, but add a little bit of a grab hitbox above it when he flips 3 times. Again, this is kind of like the generic idea of what I'm doing with him. You know, instead of only the kamehameha having 2 different versions, give each move 3 different versions, right? They get a little bit better each time. And then this move specifically, if you do that, because the idea of that would be if the opponent is just standing there for 3 times, you know, he's just flipping all over me. If the opponent were to try to jump at that last instance, they could be hit by that. Does that make sense? And my idea would be that, and it takes meter. It's not like it's free. It takes meter. And the idea for that is to kind of force the opponent to take a guess. Do you know what I mean? Because it's not like this is super fast. Yes, he's invincible. I know that. But trying to make this a little bit better if you're thinking about, hey, we're at the third part of the final part of the match. We're both solo, mano. Maybe the third version of that, there's actually a little bit of a unblockable attack. If you were to jump, specifically. You know, if they're to stand, it's still going to hit him right there, but just above him, there's a little bit of a throw. To force the opponent to try to be like, man, I can't just wait for him to keep flipping around. I can eventually, because if I jump at the last point, do you get what I'm getting at, hopefully? I mean, I feel like that's the main thing that I would change for this character, besides, you know, fundamental things like, you know, don't have auto combos that are a grab that you can't delay and it won't grab. That shit is stupid. Have it do what it does. You know what I mean? I wouldn't mind stuff like being a little bit tighter. Like, I have to time this slow. So if I just do this fast, right? He's not going to be able to go through this. This should hit me. Yeah, see, it's going to hit me. But if I were to time it slow, then I should be able to go through it, right? You know what I mean? I'm not sure, like, when I think about this, would it be that bad if this was frame 1 invincible to fireballs? Would it be that bad? I mean, again, I feel like this is the lesser of 2 evils when I'm thinking about this shit, right? I mean, that's kind of cool that you can do that if that was a little bit faster. You know, not that you can't do it now versus anything, but again, when I'm thinking of the lesser of 2 evils, the lesser of 2 evils is having a character that is good, that is showing off the game in a weird way, right? And it's not like what I was saying. We now have block damage in this game, right? So a character like Vegito is doing triple the block damage with whatever he does. Goku, he's only doing, and of course, you know, shit like this, other, you know, fundamental changes. You know, you can make this move hit late and you still can't link off of it because the game is so pre-planned. Obviously, you would be able to do that now. There'd be counter hits, so if that hit the guy on a counter, you could combo off of it. You know, but just thinking of the block damage way, he could be a character that you could make him do shitty block damage like this. You know what I mean? That's kind of like the give and take. Or maybe he's the weakest block damage character in the game. You could say that, right? You could actually say that. Maybe he is the weakest block damage character in the game. Where it was a character like that, you know, their super is going to do, like I said, I threw out an arbitrary number, it could do triple, but supers, you could probably have to do 5 times the block damage or some shit, right? But maybe this character, maybe his block damage sucks. And that's the caveat for him, right? Because he gets through everyone, you know, he's taking block damage like a motherfucker, but he has a lot of ways out of it, right? So you're forcing his hand. You're forcing him to use all this shit, right? Because that's kind of cool. If this was a little bit faster to go through that shit, you know? But once he's in, his mix-up is, you know, kind of, it's hard to make the guy hard, quotation marks, just stand there, whatever. So fix that up a little bit. Hopefully you get what I'm getting at. What would be a new move you could give him? I wouldn't mind if you could, let me see if I could do this here. So if we have Goku just throwing fireballs like this, right? So if I were to, yeah, see, if I try to attack, maybe you could give him another level 3 or some bullshit, or I feel like there's something else you could do. So when I'm walking, maybe you can cancel that walk animation with this. And of course I would make Yoga Strike Link easier, you know. Again, I don't want to get into too much fundamental shit, but maybe you can do, oh, well, that time I actually got it, but that was lucky. Oh, geez, now I'm making it look like it works. I'm making it look like it works. Oh, there we go, I got hit. Jesus Christ, I was making it look like it worked there. Can we get it to work again? No, we can't. We cannot get it to work again, but we got it to work. Damn, that was some... Oh, there we go. See, would it be that bad if you could always do that? Or, you know, make it a little bit faster? Or if you could do, maybe, you know, because I feel like every character could have a new special move. Maybe he has a level 3 out of that. Maybe when you're doing this, if you press 3 buttons like a RC, whatever generic command is, he has a level 3 where he pops up right behind the guy and he smacks him or some bullshit. I don't know. Maybe that could be his new move. Give that move a little bit more uses. You know, that's kind of when I think about the character. So again, really I feel it's like fleshing out this thing a little bit more, making it a little more risky to just like always just try to jump out of it, or at least, you know, try to make the guy guess before you get the 3 flips. There's something else I wanted to say for this character, I feel like, too. Oh, and of course, too, another way you could weaken this character as well. And of course, you know, maybe I'm making him sound like he'd be too good now if you fleshed him out, but, you know, other characters are getting fleshed out, too. So, you know, I said that idea that since I would make reflecting better in some way, I would love to have an FD in this game, but I don't know if they would ever put it. But even if they didn't put an FD, maybe they could put in like an EX reflect. So I talked about shit too that you could do. Say something like, if I were to do, or I said every move would have like a move, every character would have a reflect, something that you can't reflect out of or something like that, right? So maybe Goku's only move that you can't reflect out of is just this move or some bullshit. Like, you know, he doesn't have a lot of good options for that or something like that. And of course I said other characters, regular fireballs could do block damage too. So maybe, hey, maybe his regular fireball doesn't do block damage. It's just this wind strike. But I thought maybe that could be Goku's one unreflectable move. Since we're making reflecting better, or if there's an FD, maybe Goku has problems with that because that's his generic unreflectable move or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, remember, if you like the videos, like, sub, silly, comment, share. If you want to support the channel. The end.